Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast. Today we are finally going to be giving a spoiler-free, a little spoiler, so just putting that out there. There will be some spoilers, but not too much, of the Zack Snyder's Justice League, a.k.a. release the Snyder Cut. And we have the captain, Byron Mitchell, with us. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I am doing good. Woke up, had a great workout this morning, so we're good.
Hey, that's what I like to hear. That's like what I like to hear, man. But as I said, we're reviewing the Snyder Cut. If you listen to Byron and I's last episode when we reviewed WandaVision and gave a preview of the Snyder Cut, we talked about how this has been 4 years in the making. There was rumblings in 2017 about how there's a whole different movie than the Justice League that came out on theaters from Josh Whedon. So just listen to that to hear about the history of the Snyder Cut. It was the last podcast Byron and I did together. So listen to that to get the history of it. But man, this past March 18th finally came out on HBO Max. I had to get HBO Max just to watch this movie. 4 hours long, but oh man, Byron, what did you think of this movie?
First off, wow. Like, definitely a different movie from the 2017 release. I enjoyed every 4 hours. It was, for me, the 4 hours was worth it.
No, man, I agree. I popped that sucker and didn't really feel like 4 hours to me. It only felt longer because I'm going to review it. So I had to pause, take some notes down. Like I had to do like things of that nature. If I went just straight through, it would have went through super crazy. But yeah, man, for those who didn't believe that it's a different movie, we're here to tell you it's literally a completely different movie. The beginning is different. The entire movie is different. I would say we only saw about 25% of the stuff from the Snyder Cut in the movie that Josh Whedon came out. Like scenes like I Bought the Bank was still in there.
Yep.
Like those type of scenes were there. But man, the whole beginning was completely different. The redesign on Steppenwolf that made him look like a monster, badass monster. Like, it's just different, man. And what I wrote down with some notes, the differences, some of mine that I saw, that campy humor that was in Whedon's one, that was gone.
Yeah.
In Josh Whedon's one, they made the characters too campy. Like Batman wasn't Batman, and then like Whedon just, it says campy humor, but it wasn't working for that movie, so they got rid of that. And better fight scenes. There was a lot better fight scenes in this movie than there were in the previous one. Like the fights, you were like, oh, they're really getting active out here. That was one of the things too, and it fleshed out the characters better. Like Cyborg and Flash were MVPs for me in this movie. They got a lot more screen time and shine.
Yes.
In the Whedon one, they were just there. Aquaman got more shine in this too.
Yeah.
They were just there.
In the Whedon one, they were definitely like, I'm not going to say afterthoughts, but it kind of felt like you already knew about Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman because of the previous movies. So they added Flash and Cyborg, but they didn't really have a backstory for them. So it wasn't right.
Yeah, Cyborg especially, he got a huge backstory. And now we're finally seeing why Ray Fisher had so much issues with Josh Whedon and Jeff Johns and them, because his character was not portrayed in the greatest of lights in Whedon's cut and Snyder's cut. He was like the top guy almost.
Yeah. Like you felt for him and his backstory. Like you wanted him to succeed. And the moment when you do see that, it's just such a great payoff.
Yeah, it really is. And then we obviously talked about Steppenwolf being so much sweeter than he was in the Whedon cut. Because there was characters like...
I added a backstory for Steppenwolf as well. You got his motivation of why he's coming to Earth to get the mother boxes. So it just made his villain story that much better as well.
Yeah, man. And then obviously we got Martian Manhunter. We finally got to see him in Martian mode in the movie, and that was fantastic because there was always rumors about it. And in Snyder's cut, he said, no, he's there, Martian Manhunter. He doesn't fight, but he has some scenes, and we got to see him, so that was super cool.
I like the way they designed Martian Manhunter. It was.
Oh, he looked
clean. Yes.
We got to see. Obviously, we talked about Barry Allen struggling to get a job, things like that, and then you see him. For anyone who is a Flash fan, for anyone who has been watching, probably the greatest Flash of all time, Grant Gustin on TV on the CW, you know when you speak Barry Allen, you have to talk Iris West.
Yes.
And we finally got to see the first time in that universe where Barry and Iris meet. And Barry saved.
That was a great scene. That was a great scene.
So she saw him, and then that's probably going to help the Flash movie going forward, because she's probably going to be looking for that guy who saved her from that truck, because she's an investigative reporter as well, and she'll be looking for him to thank him and things of that nature. And one of the biggest was Darkseid.
Oh my God! Why is he so hard in this movie?
Take it away, man.
Darkseid, like, he was only in a few brief scenes, but in each scene he was in, he made an impact. Like, the first time we see him, they do a backstory of, like, the first time he came to Earth, and the way he just jumps out of that plane, I'm like, okay, someone's about to die.
You hear because we didn't see again, this movie was so different. You didn't see this scene as well when the Amazons get rocked by Steppenwolf, and Queen Hippolyta is like, don't worry, she'll know. She shoots that arrow. Obviously, Wonder Woman is at her job. She sees the fire. She goes there, and that was all you saw in the Whedon thing.
Yeah.
In the Snyder thing, you see her pick up the arrow, plug it into the secret wall, opens up. You see the history, and Diana Prince, who, all things considered, is the best fighter, right? Definitely now in their DCEU and in the DC's pantheon of obviously skill, all of that. And you see her looking up at the drawing of Darkseid, and she is spooked.
Yes.
Spooked. So then she goes and tells Bruce about the story of Darkseid, because that story was completely different the way it was told in the Whedon thing. They don't even mention Darkseid's name. Darkseid's only mentioned once.
Yeah, and that was towards the end of the movie, like in the final, before the final battles. Steppenwolf says, for Darkseid, and that's the only mention you get of Darkseid in that whole entire 2017 cut.
And then this cut, Wonder Woman's mentioning him straight from the jump, talking about how he came, and it took all those people, the Amazons, the Atlantean man, the gods at that time, Zeus, the Lanterns, all to stop this one guy from taking over
Earth.
And we come to learn too that Earth is the only planet Darkseid has failed to conquest, and he didn't realize it was that Earth until Steppenwolf told him.
Yes, Steppenwolf said some things, revealed some things. The anti-life equation is on Earth. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yes, and for those who don't know what the anti-life equation is, it's Darkseid's whole MO. It's what he wants. It's a mathematical formula that proves the futility of existence and free will. In the wrong hands, the formula is a terrible weapon and the power to brainwash and enslave entire worlds. So basically, Darkseid's goal is to get the anti-life equation so he could transform everyone into unthinking, unfeeling servants.
Yes.
So the only thing they would know is for Darkseid. Like, their existence is for Darkseid. So that's on Earth, and Steppenwolf realized that, and God, that causes so many things going forward, because we did not have this in the Whedon cut at all. We didn't even have a mention of anti-life equation.
Oh no.
So now Darkseid's coming. Well, he's coming to Earth from this movie, and he gets the face-to-face with the Justice League. And yeah, it's a big deal. And also for the people who don't, if you know DC, red skies equal crisis.
Yes.
And obviously the biggest one ever was Crisis on Infinite Earths, which me and Byron have covered on previous ones. We're going to cover more in future ones. But another crisis that happened was Final Crisis. And this is where Darkseid's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm getting the anti-life equation, and it's all hands on deck to stop him from getting that anti-life equation, which he succeeds in getting, and things just, it gets bad. It gets
we don't
bad.
need him getting that anti-life.
But now he knows it's on Earth, and Byron liked one of Darkseid's last lines of the movie about "Ready the Armada, we'll do things the old way."
No, we can't have the old way, because the old way was that backstory of him invading a whole bunch of parademons, Desaad, Granny Goodness. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to get invaded.
Yeah, like watching this movie, it's so crazy because, I mean, all of our like nerd, our superhero messages, things like that, we've heard the rumors of this movie existing. We thought there was nothing of it at the beginning, but then you hear like Jason Momoa, obviously Aquaman, saying like, "No, I've seen it. It's real." And then you had Batman and Wonder Woman at Comic-Con's hashtag release a Snyder Cut. And we finally came to a head. The movement kept growing and growing. And it finally happened. And it's a big, big accomplishment for Zack and all the actresses and everyone involved. But it's also a monumental moment in cinema. Because now, seeing that this happened with a group of fans, I almost take it to like the Save the Crew movement.
Yep.
That fans, if there's something out there that wasn't supposed to go out there, like, or different cut, they could really bring this stuff to light. Like a release of this cut, like this could be a real thing going forward in cinema.
I mean, I hope it does, because there's probably some movies out there that are way different from what the original Vision was, because of, replaced directors or, studio involvement. So there's probably a whole crop of movies that are much better than what was already out there.
I know one that already went out was the Ayer cut for Suicide Squad, because that movie was terrible. And David Ayer's like, that is not what I wanted to put out. And then, of course, you have the small glimpses of people saying, release the Ayer cut. But we talked about, from movie-wise, we would know what would happen. Darkseid's coming.
Yep.
Things are going to get real bad. But behind the scenes-wise, we talked about this in our preview. After the success of this Snyder Cut, Byron, and it was crashing HBO Max because people like me were literally getting it just to watch this movie. What does DC do here now?
I mean, personally, they have to run it back. Like Warner Bros., I don't know who needs to talk to who, but they got to run it back, because this movie was successful, in my opinion. And plus, it was crashing HBO Max. So, a lot of people spent money just to watch this movie. So, if they don't make another movie, Warner Brothers is just leaving money on the table.
Yeah, not only did it crash HBO Max, it was crashing Twitter, all that stuff, just the Rotten Tomatoes scores are as night and day as the movies. Justice League in 2017 got a 40% from critics and a 71% from the audience. 2021 Snyder Cut got a 75% from critics and a 97% from the audience. That is literally night and day. And with Zack Snyder, too, I mean, look, I'm a diehard DC fan, and I've been extremely hard on him, especially with BVS, with all the issues I had with that, just because the movie was announced in 2013 and it took 3 years to come out, and you made me wait 3 years, and the movie wasn't good objectively. It had good moments, but it was not good, and it just wasn't good. And Suicide Squad wasn't good. And we saw the DC and Man of Steel. I felt like Man of Steel was all right, but some people feel like it wasn't. I feel like it's a 50-50. So the first three movies in the DCEU were starting a little rough. You hit Wonder Woman, which was the gold standard, and that was riding it back up. You hear Aquaman. Aquaman was the first billion-dollar movie in the DCEU. You hit Shazam. Which was like a 9. I think it was a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes. Don't know where it's at now, but that was a really good movie as well. And then you had Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. That came out closer around COVID, so I'm not really but the movie was all right. Black Mass is really good in that movie, and then you hit Wonder Woman 1984, which was not as good as the first Wonder Woman. I'll be the first to say that. It also came out during the COVID time. It also broke streaming records for a big movie on HBO Max when it came out. I'm pretty sure those records have been broken.
Oh, most definitely.
The Snyder Cut and Wonder Woman. So those movies were good. And then you got, and remember, we have another DC movie coming out this year with Suicide Squad, the revamp, with James Gunn taking the helm, and Harley's back, but then you have people like Cena and all of that. So, and then also Peacemaker, John Cena's getting his own show, and DC, and then Wonder Woman signed on for obviously her third movie, and we have The Rock and Shazam. I mean, The Rock is Black Adam coming, his movie, then we'll have to sooner or later be Shazam 2. This Justice League movie, the Snyder Cut, changed so many things that we talked about in the preview. If it was good, they would have to consider running it back. It blew me away on how different it was and how much better it was. They have to figure something out.
And they have to bring everyone back. I know Ben Affleck has some problems, but they need to bring Benny A back. They need to bring the guy Ray Fisher who plays Cyborg. They need to bring him back. Especially after that fleshed out backstory of Cyborg. They definitely have to bring him back.
Well, Byron, I think that's the issue. Because they have to run it back, but they have to run it back with the same people. And before you even get Ben or Ray, and you didn't even get Henry Cavill, obviously, because he's been will he or won't he. But the biggest thing is DC has to get Zack back.
True.
They got to get Snyder back. Because if you can't have the same situation where his vision gets changed and then we're doing another 6-year release, the Justice League Snyder Cut Part 2. If you're you gotta let him go and let him do his thing in Justice League 2, because with the success this is getting, I can only imagine how much this would have made in theaters.
Oh, if this had released in theaters without COVID, it definitely would have did some numbers for sure.
Absolutely. So it's just and the cliffhangers at the end, you can't leave it like this.
Not the nightmare scene. Oh no.
Lex Luthor. Yep. And the nightmare scene. So in BVS, one of the many issues people had, me included, was this random scene with Future Flash talking to Bruce Wayne saying Lois is the key, and you're seeing this nightmare scene. You're just
it made
why is this in
no sense to the plot of the movie.
Yeah, in BVS. In Justice League, Snyder Cut, you see glimpses of it again, and then when Bruce is sleeping, you see more of it, and you see what's going on, and you see him with an older Flash, a Cyborg, Deathstroke, Mera, and obviously, which another big thing of the Snyder Cut, the return of Jared Leto's Joker. That was a guy who got tore to shreds in Suicide Squad, and his Joker, be it not enough screen time or just the way he was perceived, wasn't doing it for me. But obviously, in the second trailer of Justice League, when you hear the "We Live in Society" line and you see him turn around, and you're like, "Oh my goodness,
yes,
that is a Joker," and you see his interaction, because this is the first time in the DCEU you see Jared Leto's Joker and Ben Affleck's Batman interacting with each other, and be it for 10-15 minutes, goodness, it was wild.
Scene was fire. And it was just because of the interaction between Batman and Joker.
That was crazy in itself. And the previous nightmare scene is you see Darkseid coming to Earth, and he kills everybody. He goes to Atlantis, Omega beams Aquaman, dead. Wonder Woman, dead. Everyone is dead. And that was before they brought back Superman, and Cyborg's like, oh, I don't know if we could do this now.
I mean, oh, man. I think either I read a rumor or heard it on a random YouTube clip yesterday that in Justice League 2, the nightmare scenario was going to play a huge role in the next Justice League movie, which I would be down for.
Oh yeah, me as well. And if you remember, before they were preparing for battle, Diana asked Bruce what's wrong, and then he said, "I was sitting in the chair, and a future of Barry Allen came through, and he said Lois was the key." And then Wonder Woman was like, "Yeah, Lois is the key to Superman, to his heart." And then obviously they've talked about, if you remember in BVS, Superman has Batman's like, "You let her, she was my whole world, and you let her die." And Joker's like, "So how many more worlds are you going to destroy? And how come you're never the one who dies? How come it's everyone else?" And you're just like, oh my
Joker
God.
was throwing out some lines yesterday, man.
And then, because obviously, if you've played the Injustice Gods Among Us games, Joker drugs Superman into thinking he's fighting Doomsday, he's fighting Lois, and then it kills Lois, and then it actually triggers a nuclear bomb and blows up Metropolis, and then he becomes evil Superman. We go from there. If Justice League 2, if Future Flash knew Lois was the key, can you imagine in Justice League 2 where they're asking Darkseid, Desaad, and Granny Goodness, what are we going to do about the Kryptonian? And he's going to be like, oh, I know what to do with him. And then he kills Lois because they were too slow to stop him. And that sets Superman off the... Because remember, there was a scene where Darkseid came over Superman, who was groveling, putting his hand on him, basically saying, it's okay. And that's where he takes control. And this might be when he has the anti-life equation, takes control of him, because Lois is the key, which means that we don't...
You got to protect Lois.
You got to keep her safe.
Because you do not want to deal with an unhinged Superman
who just lost the love of his life. And God forbid it's like Injustice the Game, where they kill her when she's bearing a child.
And there was... I noticed this yesterday. In one of the scenes, she opens up a drawer with there's her Daily Planet badge and a pregnancy test. So I wonder if they're alluding to that.
Yeah,
she might be pregnant.
Like, man, and most people didn't cap that. Good eyes on you, man. But it's something too. And after, obviously, when he has that dream, Bruce, he wakes up and just sees an alien flying to his house, his penthouse. And then Martian Manhunter's like, Darkseid's not done with this planet. He's coming for the anti-life equation. And he's like, I have a stake in this world, and it's time I start fighting for it. I'm like, oh, well, it's good for you to join.
Right.
You just made a couple movies just sitting there. Okay. And then he leaves, and then he hits Bruce with none of this would have been happening if it wasn't for you. Like, your mom and dad would be proud. I was like, oh, not.
Yeah, not man, he's right. None of this would be possible without him, because he got the team together.
You know what's funny too? I haven't even sent you this picture, but you know how Steppenwolf was talking to Darkseid, saying there's no protectors here, no Kryptonians, no Lanterns. He did. He underestimated the Bat. If you take out the Bat,
because he get formed. Yep, he promised Superman right before he died that he would protect everyone and get them together, and he lived up to his promise.
And there's another small thing in this movie too, is you see just Alfred's interactions, small ones, but with all the members of the Justice League. I really like that, because, to be honest, Jeremy Irons is the best actor in the whole movie.
Yeah,
so, like, just from acting. So, and him as Alfred is really good, and you see him interacting with Diana and Clark and all of them. So just see, like, Alfred's a respected person amongst the league.
Definitely good scenes with him and the Justice League members. But I was not expecting him to have a scene with Superman in the black suit, though. That was nice.
Remember, Bruce told Alfred he's going to show up here. So, and Alfred's like, "How do you know?" Like, "Faith, he's going to show up here." And that's what Alfred's like, "He said you come. Let's hope you're not too late." And when Superman's walking, you remember the lines that Jor-El said in Man of Steel about, like, they're going to follow you. They're going to stumble, but they're going to follow you. And together, you guys are going to accomplish great things. So, obviously, that happened, too. And to be honest, when running it back with Justice League 2, maybe Darkseid. Is Justice League 2 even Darkseid? Because remember, at the end with Lex Luthor, now he's bald now. And this there's a difference between the Whedon version and the Snyder one. In the Whedon one, he's just like Deathstroke's there. He's like, well, God's back alive. God is Superman. And he has a little band, so it's time I make my own. This one, he's more sinister with it. Because Deathstroke's there, takes off his helmet, actually has some dialogue. And apparently, Lex was alluding to, in this universe, Batman took out Deathstroke's eye. And comics, it's Green Arrow who does that. But in this universe, seems like Batman. And then Lex Luthor is just like, if you want the Batman, this may help. His name, he
said the man's real name, Bruce Wayne. Deathstroke was like, all right, no, I'll have that drink. Let's sit down and talk. Like,
So now, possibly, before Darkseid even gets there, we're dealing with the Injustice Society, Injustice Gang. Because, remember, if you did watch BVS and you watched the regular and the Ultimate, Lex Luthor knows who all these people are. Like, he knows Superman, he knows who all these people are. Because remember, when Bruce found out about the other metas, he found off of Lex's drive. So Lex has been following Diana, and he knew about Cyborg, he knew about Arthur, he knew about Barry. So he knows who these people are, and to just blatantly just tell Deathstroke who Batman is, that was supposed to set up the Batman versus Deathstroke fight in Ben Affleck's Batman movie that he was going to write.
Looking back on it, that probably would have been a fire movie too.
Yeah, and he obviously, you alluded earlier that he was having some issues, and that happened, and now we have Robert Pattinson. But man, to be this changes a lot of things. You already see it on YouTube everywhere. Everyone talking about like, where do they go from here with a sequel? Because you got a slate of DC movies coming out, and what do we do? And people went into it zero expectations, and now seeing the Snyder Cut, you're just like, I want more. Like, I've been watching just clips on YouTube now that I've actually watched the thing, but man, I good on them, man. 4 years, a love letter to the fans, everything, and this movie makes you want more.
If this movie had came out 4 years ago, can you imagine where we would be right now?
Oh my gosh. If this was... And unfortunately, I think for also people who don't know, the reason this movie did not come out 4 years ago is Zack Snyder had to leave because his daughter committed suicide. So you obviously you can't direct with that type of stuff because you have to be there for your family. And then Whedon took over. And Byron, that's something I want to talk about too, that Josh Whedon is not a slouch. At that time, in 2017, when Justice League came out, he was the director of the two biggest superhero movies, money-wise, of all time, in Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. So, like, I don't... Maybe because it wasn't his project from start to finish, and he was the villain, but if you just think about that, like, the director for Avengers 1 and 2 didn't nail a superhero movie.
Which is so strange.
Like, that's crazy. And then... You see the reports now how he was treating staff unfairly. Jeff Johns, who's the big dog at DC, wasn't doing anything, and Zack was like, he felt for him. And if you didn't, and then in like the current era's DC director, producer, GOAT, Christopher Nolan, he told Zack, do not want Whedon's movie. Like, for your own mental health, all of that. Don't watch that. Your time will come sooner or later, and obviously it's time Josh, in 2021.
No offense to Josh Whedon, he's directed some great movies, like you said, but he absolutely butchered Zack Snyder's vision. These movies are night and day compared to each other.
Night and day. Like, the beginnings are, again, only 25% of the movie is the same, and this is a 4-hour movie compared to a 2-hour. Like, it's just crazy how the movie started. Like, it's so different. Now you see, the movie starts with this one, Superman, like, dying. You hear his, like, yell across the entire place, and it hits the mother boxes. And then when they're talking about, like, dude, these things have been here forever. Why did they not attack until now? And they're all like, because Superman died. The mother box heard Superman's scream of death. You see it hit each mother box. And it's just like, oh yeah, the Kryptonian's dead. It's time to take these damn things. And you don't get that explained in Whedon's one. Whedon's one started off with that ugly Henry Cavill. Well, Henry Cavill's obviously not ugly, but CGI. That ugly mug of him with the mustache. That's terrible CGI. Terrible CGI. And then they got rid of that garbage of the parademons being
like
to fear.
Batman dangling that guy over the edge just so he can get a parademon.
That was gone. And then also like the whole final battle fight was completely different. Like it's so different, and it's crazy how this has really been in the vault all this time. And I just don't understand why.
Maybe they wanted to preserve what Josh Whedon did, but I mean, the circumstances that happened weren't Zack Snyder's fault. So I feel like they should have released this sooner because this was his movie. This was his idea. He wanted to create a Justice League, and he had, I think, at least 2 or 3 movies in the chamber for Justice League. So they should have released this sooner. I do like at the end, they do have like a little tribute he put in there just for Autumn for his daughter, which is just a nice touch.
Absolutely. I'm saying that it should have been released earlier. You release it while all these people are still under contract or new in their contract, because they would have saw the success of this and they would have re-signed.
Warner Bros. I don't know what they were doing, but like this movie, if they had it released sooner, they could have definitely got more movies out of it. But man, they dropped the ball on this one.
Yeah, and it makes me super excited for like the other stuff like we mentioned. We didn't even mention Flash, Ezra Miller's movie, which, remember, this movie, God, we need to see a trailer because this movie has rumors around it like no man's business about Ben Affleck being in it and Michael Keaton. So we need a trailer for that ASAP. I think it's supposed to come out 2022, but we need to actually see because they might have to change that script depending.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be Flashpoint, which I could see. I mean, I still think it's a little too early to do Flashpoint without a first singular Flash movie, but I'll take it because the way they set up his backstory and Zack Snyder's Justice League makes me want more. Like that scene during the final battle where he's running like to reverse time, that just was such a beautiful scene. Like the CGI they did for it was amazing.
That's Flash, man. If you ain't hip to Barry Allen Flash, when all things go south, they have that ace in the hole. Not supposed to do it because it messes things up, but we have the reverse time to save everyone. And man, Superman's entrance in this, in the black suit, you see why.
Man, that was so hard. The way he ate that axe and said, "Not impressed."
And then froze it with his freeze breath. And that iconic scene when Stephen was on the ground, Superman, and you're looking up from his view, and you see Superman up top, punches you in the black suit, eyes go vision. You're just like, oh my God. And like Steppenwolf, the way he goes, I feel like he goes down more honor in this one than that last one. Whedon, when he got ate by the parademons because he was feeling fear, which was stupid. But also, that miscellaneous family is not in the Snyder Cut. There was no reason for them being in the They had served no purpose.
Yeah, which, I mean, it definitely doesn't take away from the story at all. They were so random. Like, I guess I could get it to see, like, oh, this is what people are experiencing who live there, but it just, honestly, it didn't really add value to the story.
Dude, yeah, it was random. And then the way Steppenwolf dies, man, and spoiler alert, well, after Superman's done with him, and he's just like, and the boom tomb opens, and he's not paying attention, because he's like, he's here.
Oh, yeah, I definitely thought Darkseid was about to step to that boom tomb. I was like, yeah, it's over for you guys.
Yeah, and then, like, a spoiler again, like, he wasn't paying attention. Aquaman stabs him in the back with his trident, and then Superman comes, punches him, about to send him through the boom tube. Here comes Wonder Woman running in iconic motion, grabs her sword, and cuts Steppenwolf's head off. And then Steppenwolf's head rolls into the boom tube and rolls at Darkseid's feet. And you just see how evil Darkseid
and
just
and then stares him down.
Just stepped on it. Mm-hmm. It's Darkseid staring on his boom tube side, staring down the whole Justice League. They are all there just staring them face to face. And Byron was talking about, he's like, oh, well, he might step through, and is this what the rest of the movie is? Because if he's stepping through, they're going to need more than 4 hours. But, oh my, yeah, and then like you said, that line of him, like, we're just going to do it the old ways. It reminds me of when Thanos was fed up.
Same vein, same move. Like, y'all pissing me off. It's time to go.
Yes, the same energy. He's like, no, I trusted this guy. My top advisor said he would fail, and I didn't listen. And he's like, we're not stopping at nothing. When he said ready the Armada, and you just see like them all clear in there, and he's walking, and we're doing it the old ways. I'm like, oh my god, he's about to. And currently, the league only has 7 because Martian Manhunter's there. But now, if you think about the movies, obviously, if you saw Shazam, you saw that Superman cameoed at the end. So you got to get Shazam. He's strong. Black Adam is an anti-hero, but you got to get The Rock.
All hands on deck.
When it's someone like Darkseid, you got to put your personal. Like this is a guy who's up there. He's up there in those realms. Like outside of, God forbid, if like the Monitor and them came into this, outside of them,
not the Monitor, not the anti-Monitor.
Mega bad. No, yeah, we have that. We already did it on TV. They ain't ready for that one. We already did on TV. It's done. We restarted the universe. Shoot, it's kind of funny that Oliver Queen restarts the universe and we get the Snyder cut.
Wow, never put those two together.
Just think of that. Think of that. Maybe that's what the universe restarted, so you get a whole new movie. But I think the only con to this movie, besides normal stuff, 4 hours. That is a little much, but I don't think it would have been 4 hours if it was in theaters. I think it would have been like 3, and then you would have had like a director's cut thing if you bought like the Blu-ray or DVD. And since this is only on HBO Max, which I think it was funny too because it was in the 6 parts, but there wasn't like you could click.
Yeah, when I watched it was straight through. So I don't know if they're gonna break it into like different parts going forward, but on your when you first watch it, it's definitely straight 4 hours, no breaks. But they do like have titles screens that say, "Oh, this part's next," and so it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, that's the only con I'm seeing. But again, I don't think it would have been 4 hours in movies. I think it would have been 3, and then like an extended thing on your Blu-ray DVD if you bought it. What cons?
It was the time.
Did you have? Was it just the time? Or
definitely wouldn't have been 4 hours. 3 tops, maybe 3.5, but definitely wouldn't have been this 4 hour gauntlet. But like I said, like watching it doesn't feel like 4 hours.
No, it doesn't. And yeah, everyone was just so different. Everyone was so much better.
Definitely did a better Batman in this version.
We know
I wasn't feeling him in like BVS.
He was such a or Justice League. League, that was the worst.
But definitely,
that was one of the worst Batman
definitely way better
in my life. He was a leader. He was a leader of the team. It's always funny how that works out. The Mortal's always the leader of the team somehow, some way. And then, like, it was just significantly better. And there was a meme from The Social Network where Andrew Garfield's like, I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming for all of it. And I've seen the meme now of him saying, no, I'm not coming back for 30%, the Snyder Cut. I'm coming back for all of it.
Yes.
2, Man of Steel
on
2,
Twitter, it's trending. Restore the Snyderverse, and I'm for it. Restore the Snyderverse.
Like that's part 7. I never thought 2 years ago, I'd be like, if it comes out, whatever. But now actually seeing it, I'm with it, man. We gotta restore the Snyderverse. We've already established there's multiple Earths due to Crisis on Infinite Earth, so it really doesn't matter. So just restore this.
There's so much stuff they could do just based off this movie, just with the adding of the Martian Manhunter, the extended nightmare scene. There's so much stuff they could go with this.
And we haven't even talked about, too, with the wars and all that stuff, where Bruce is telling Diana, like, yeah, you got to get over working with an Atlantean, because, you know, they haven't spoke for thousands of years. And if you remember the Flashpoint storyline, one of the main reasons the world has gone to poo is because the Atlanteans and the Themyscirans are at war with each other. So just remember that. Just remember that if we see that in the Flash's movie, and he's wondering why Diana and Arthur hate each other, they go to war and it causes the end of the world. So just remember that going forward. But man, Byron,
I think we covered it all. I don't think we left any stones unturned. Oh, well, we forgot to mention Ryan Choi's in the movie. So he could be a future Adam. So we'll have to watch out for that.
He's in the movie. Yep. Ryan Choi was working with Cyborg's dad at Star Labs. So yeah, and they even talked about like his particle thing is his thing. It's like, yeah, that's my thing. So that's the future. It could be the Atom. But we're gonna have to wait and see. Now
I am.
Even though it might not be, I'm excited for the new Suicide Squad.
I respect James Gunn as a director. So I definitely will be looking forward to that. I definitely need them to drop a trailer soon, not all these teaser trailer stuff, because it's supposed to come out this year. So I need a full trailer.
Yep. No, I agree, man. I agree. And obviously, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, YouTube, and man, L7C, we're here, man. Restore the Snyderverse, Part 7.
Yes.
That's Part 7. Restore the Snyderverse. Gotta happen. I mean, I'm going to be watching...
Which clip?
I'm going to be watching that Dark Side clip.
Ready the Armada, we're doing it always?
Telling everyone, ready the Armada.
I need to find that nightmare scene on YouTube. I gotta watch it multiple times.
We live in a society. And again, I really knew this movie was going to do something in the first trailer. And Batman's like, I don't care how many demons he's fought, how many hells. He's never fought up.
Yes, there are so many hard lines in this movie. Like, one line that I liked, when Steppenwolf first shows up to Themyscira, and the Queen was like, Daughters of Themyscira, show me your fear. We have no fear. I'm like, okay, let's go.
We have no fear. Yeah. Oh, woo! Hot damn! Yep, we have no fear.
Right.
We gotta sign off, or we're just gonna start reciting all the lines, and we'll have like a 10-hour podcast. But thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. You guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.